Paris. The city of lights, of romance, of international incidents? Yes, apparently so. In April 2025, something happened. French authorities made an arrest. But this wasn't just any arrest. The person taken into custody was an Algerian consular official. Think about that. A diplomat. Someone who usually has a special kind of protection. This wasn't a minor misunderstanding over a croissant. This was a statement. A very loud, very clear statement that sent immediate shockwaves across the Mediterranean, straight to Algiers. It was the kind of move that makes diplomats spill their very expensive coffee. Arresting a consular official is like poking a bear. A very large, historically significant bear. France knew this. You don't just casually decide to detain a representative of another sovereign nation without expecting some serious blowback. Algeria, understandably, felt it immediately. It wasn't just an arrest. It was perceived as a direct challenge, a sign of disrespect. The air between Paris and Algiers, already a bit chilly, suddenly dropped to sub-zero temperatures. This single act, this detention in the heart of France, became the spark. The spark that would ignite a diplomatic firestorm, threatening to consume years of carefully constructed, if often fragile, relations between the two nations. This arrest was simply the match. The French authorities were alleging something far darker, something that cut to the core of national security and international law. The world watched, holding its breath, wondering what could possibly lead France to take such a drastic step. So, what was this consular official, along with two other Algerians arrested at the same time, actually accused of? The charges were heavy, very heavy. We're talking preliminary charges of kidnapping or arbitrary detention in connection with a terrorist undertaking. Let that sink in. Kidnapping. On French soil, linked to terrorism. This wasn't just a diplomatic spat anymore. This was entering the realm of serious international crime, allegedly involving state actors. The French prosecutors weren't mincing words. They were essentially accusing individuals connected to the Algerian state of orchestrating a criminal act within France's borders, an act that threatened the safety and liberty of someone under French protection. The alleged victim of this nefarious plot was an Algerian influencer named Amir Boukours, perhaps better known by his online persona, Amir DZ. He was a vocal critic of the Algerian government. He had been living in France since 2016 and significantly had been granted political refugee status in 2023. This status meant France had recognized his need for protection from persecution in his home country. The implication of the French charges was explosive, that an official representing the Algerian state, operating from within its consulate in Paris, was involved in a plot to kidnap a political dissident. This arrest ripped the veil off a world that usually operates in the deepest shadows. We're talking about espionage, intelligence networks, and unseen efforts by states to monitor or neutralize enemies. This was playing out in real life, on the streets of Paris. The arrest of a consular official suggested deep intelligence agency involvement. It hinted at a complex game of cat and mouse. Nations have legitimate security interests beyond their borders. They gather intelligence and monitor threats. This often involves keeping tabs on diaspora communities. It's one thing to gather information, another to engage in criminal acts like kidnapping. France believed Algeria had crossed that line. It was a high-stakes gamble, spotlighting diplomatic immunity and national security. This case illustrated ongoing tensions around political exile and dissidence in Europe. The Amir DZ case forced a public confrontation over actions usually confined to the shadows. Section 4. Algeria's thunderous retort. A wave of expulsions. How did Algeria respond to France's bombshell accusations and the arrest of its consular official? Did they offer a quiet diplomatic note of protest? Did they request a discreet meeting to discuss the matter? No. Algeria's response was swift, public, and unequivocally furious. They didn't just whisper their displeasure, they roared it. The Algerian Foreign Ministry immediately denounced the arrest, calling it a flagrant contravention of diplomatic conventions and privileges. They didn't stop there. They accused France of a deliberate attempt to humiliate Algeria and to derail the already fragile bilateral relations between the two countries. The gloves were off. Then came the counterpunch, and it was a heavy one. On April 14th, 2025, just days after the arrest, Algeria announced the expulsion of 12 French officials. 12. They were given a mere 48 hours to pack their belongings and leave Algerian territory. This wasn't a symbolic gesture. This was a significant escalation. It was a clear message to Paris. If you target our officials, we will target yours. The scale of the expulsion was particularly noteworthy. Section 5. Echoes of Liberation. A former colony's stand. To grasp Algeria's actions, one must delve into its history with France. This isn't just a disagreement, it's about a former colony and its ex-colonizer. The legacy of French colonial rule and the brutal War of Independence has left indelible scars. Algeria's response is layered with historical meaning, asserting its hard-won independence. It's a declaration that the days when France could dictate terms are long gone. Each diplomatic maneuver carries the weight of that history. Algeria demands to be treated with respect as a sovereign nation. This crisis is seen as Algeria pushing back against perceived French overreach. It's a symbolic act of standing up to the former colonial power. The arrest of its official on French soil was viewed as an affront to its national honor. Algeria's robust response signals it will fiercely protect its interests and image. Section 6. The deepening divide. Franco-Algerian ties at breaking point. Relations between France and Algeria have hit a new low after the April 2025 arrest and subsequent expulsions. Tensions were already high due to France's support for Morocco's autonomy plan in Western Sahara. Algeria saw this as a betrayal. The arrest of writer Boualem Sansal further strained relations. Migration issues and deportations added to the friction. The latest crisis has shattered hopes for a diplomatic thaw. The arrest of a consular official and mass expulsions signal a profound breakdown. The potential consequences are far-reaching. Section 7. Crossroads of diplomacy. Sovereignty, respect, and the path ahead. France and Algeria are at a critical juncture. Algeria's response asserts its sovereignty, sending a global message. This stance, while popular, carries risks. International relations require balance. Algeria must navigate this crisis to avoid long-term consequences. The challenge is to project strength without damaging crucial relationships. France is reminded of the evolving nature of its relationships with former colonies. Future interactions require sensitivity and understanding of historical contexts. Because in international diplomacy, history doesn't stay in the past. It shapes every move, every reaction, every silence. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Was Algeria right to respond this way? And what does this say about France's place in modern Africa? If you found this breakdown informative, like, share, and subscribe for more stories that go deeper than the headlines. As the African Diaspora saying goes, I am because we are, and we are because I am.